The working machine you are. How many
Yeah,
breaks
playing
did
with
you?
baseball cards.
How many breaks did you do yesterday?
Yesterday was not very many, but the weekend was 16.
Okay, that's
Yeah, and then a lot of personal boxes. Yeah, it
yeah.
was a lot.
The weekend was fun, man. I hadn't really tuned into that much breaks in a weekend in probably about a month and a half. But
Yeah.
you know why, man? That Chronicles that is
Oh,
really fun.
I was telling guys like while we were breaking, I was like, guys, this is going to be 850 a box, and I'm still holding strong that these will be 850 a box. They put Prism Black in it. It's the only place you can hit Prism Black rookies, silvers, and silver autos, and the stuff's selling just out of this world. Like, there's so much good stuff in this product.
Yeah, man, that's a really awesome product, and I was like, so I got in on one break where it was like it was the berry, and
Hmm.
then there was nothing. I didn't really get anything out of the Chronicles box, and then I was like, I'm gonna sit out this one, and then the next one, the Chargers. It was the Chargers, and
Oh,
those two Herbert autos just came out. I was like, oh my god,
yeah, we ran really, really hot with it. And we sold out so fast. We do have more coming today, so we're going to do three breaks of it today.
sweet
What's cool is we started doing a thing Monday through Thursday. All breaks are just $25 a spot.
gold.
So, I mean, literally, you can get in a Chronicles break, the hottest product we've seen since probably Prism 2021 dropped,
Yeah.
and you're getting in for 25 bucks a spot. I mean, it's super love.
Oh man, that's great. And like you mentioned, you if you get the right team, you are not disappointed. I was like, in one of those breaks, I got the Chargers and the Bengals. I couldn't believe it. I was like, give me my
Oof.
Herbert auto. I was like, but it was awesome. I was not disappointed at all. Those are some great cards.
Yeah, I mean, even on a single box break, the Chargers are probably worth like $150. So if you get them for 25, like you're already free rolling pretty well.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And plus, the cards they're awesome looking. They're different.
Yeah.
They're different from Select, which is really hot right now too.
Hmm. Yeah, Select's been crazy too. We sold out of that really fast, but we sold it really cheap. I mean, we did them for like 1,200 a box, and now they're 1,900 a box.
Yeah, you and I were talking about this the other day. If you had Select and you bought it at Target, would you break that open or would you keep it long term?
It's tough with me because I don't really keep a lot of wax
Yeah,
because and it's such a dumb reason. But given that I have allocation, given that I've owned stores for so long, I could have put one case back of every single product that I've ever had in the store, and it would be millions and millions of dollars in value. And
right.
since I never did it, especially in 1920 when I could have done it, I don't really do it. But if I'm in for $20 on something that I can sell for, let's just say 110, man, 5x gains are really nice. I take the 5x gain every time. Like,
Are you talking about that right now? Like sell it right now or wait? You
yeah,
should hold it.
no, I would sell it now and get my 5x my money, and then take that money and put it into something else that might have a slower growth, but you're still going to exponentially grow over time.
That's a good point. You, um,
I would rather have a PC card that also can increase for 500 bucks than five boxes of retail select.
who who is your favorite PC card right now at the moment that you have?
It's still Mantle. It's always going to be Mantle. Um, just because I like the consistency. I like that even new collectors, if you put a Mantle in their hand, like they're like, oh wow, like
Right.
I've never even seen one of these. Especially again with the dying off of card shops, you're not walking into a store and seeing a Mickey Mantle rookie card in person. Like when are you going to see a Mantle rookie in person?
On
You know what I
offer
mean? Like
on eBay.
yeah, but again, you're not going to get to touch that.
No,
You're not
not
going to
really.
see that in person unless you actually purchase. So it's like I don't know. For me, it's still the holy grail of cards. It's the benchmark. There's something nostalgic about it, and it's 1950s art, and his story's so cool. I mean, they've made movies about him. There's dozens of books about the guy. Like I don't know. I like Mantle stuff. If it's newer guy, obviously I like Yachty. But I'm a Cardinal guy, so I would pick Yachty. I probably wouldn't be a Yachty fan if I wasn't a Cardinal fan. I mean, I would be impressed by his stats. Of course, he's a beast, but I wouldn't be like, yeah, Yachty.
you know it goes true for all those kind of players. I wouldn't be a Mets fan without Mike Piazza. It's the same,
Yeah,
same thing. Love
I get that.
love watching him hit. Not the best defensive catcher, but yeah, you know.
Pretty strong offense.
Oh yeah, I'm the best hitting catcher of all time, and the Mets are one of the best in the league right now.
Oof,
We're
oof.
we're on we're on baseball. Let's talk some baseball, man.
I'll listen.
We got a lot of news this week. Big news yesterday, especially in the hobby. Luis Robert out for basically 3 to 4 months. That's going to take a big hit for a lot of people.
Yeah, I mean that last year that was the guy. If you hit an autograph of him, you were sitting pretty. If you hit any of his rare rookie stuff, it was big money. Um, there's a lot of people going to take a big on paper hit. So then the question is going to become, what should you do? Do you sell now and take the loss? My answer is no.
Of course.
If you collect Robert, I think you do the opposite. You dollar cost average down and instead wait for the dip and then buy it. So if his stuff goes down 30-40%, which I think it could even see a little more, I could see even maybe 50% on some of his mid range
Right.
because he's going to be out of sight, out of mind. I think that's a good time if you like him and you like investing in him to plow $1,000 at him because he is going to come back. It's not like he broke his leg in half. You know what I mean? Like he's coming back. Like he's still going to be a hitter. He's still on a team where he's the only person who matters. And I think that's relevant too. It's like if you're the only star on a team, there are people who collect you just because you're their team. Just like me just mentioning Yachty. Like I collect Yachty because he's on my team, and frankly, there's no one else on that team that I want.
Exactly. And with especially with right now the young players being so hot, if that has been, Tatis, Acuna, Soto, especially from, last year's class before, just those guys have made such a impact. And so now people are looking for who's the next guy? Who's that next guy? Luis Robert is one of those next guys. Jared Klinick's one of those next guys. So people are so heavily invested in just like, you just got to be patient.
What would you do with, and again, you're a fan, so this is going to be a little tougher, but what would you do with Lindor stuff, who has had one of the slowest starts ever? I mean, he's looking like a complete bust, and they spent a ton of money on that dude. That's going to potentially go down as the worst investment in Mets history, like legit, unless he can come back.
I mean, I'm not going to overreact. It's a month into the season. I mean, it's just hard to say that all that talent is gone. I still think Lindor will bounce back. The Mets fired their hitting coach yesterday, and I mean, I think he deserved to be fired. Like the team is not hitting at all. We have one player hitting over 300 right now, and
Is that Conforto or someone else?
no, that is Brandon Nimmo. He's the only player that's been a
Wow,
consistent hitter. Even Dominic Smith and all those players, they've all been hitting under what they normally have. And I think they're obviously going to break out of the slump. They just have, that team has too much talent for all those players to be hitting in a slump. It's just like the
So is
Yankees
Lindor?
stuff.
Is he a buy?
No way. I didn't buy any Lindor stuff when he got traded. I just didn't like how it popped. Lindor stuff. He's been really good since 2016, or he came in the league in 2015. I think that was his rookie year. And his stuff obviously took off when they went to the 2016 World Series. And, so it had its highs and its lows. I just don't see it getting back up to that,
Yeah. I think it's going to be tough.
Yeah, and he's just one of those players that, like, he's been consistent, but his average has also gone down every year too, which is kind of scary. I was never a fan of that contract to begin with. So if you're asking me, I would not invest in Lindor.
If you had to pick between him and Arenado, where would you put the money? Because neither one of them have looked great.
Well, Arenado hit a 3-run homer off the Mets yesterday, so
I mean that's one at bat though.
I know, but Arenado,
I could hit a 3-run. I could hit a 3-run homer off of your relievers.
I've been an Arenado guy for years, so it's bias speaking here. I've always loved Arenado, and I think obviously he's the best third baseman. Not obviously, but I think he's the third best baseman in the league. The best third baseman in the league. Yeah, and
he's the best baseman. I like it.
Yeah. But
I like it.
He's definitely up there. Some people will argue Rendon and a few others. and his average is down a little bit. Some people are wondering if he could hit outside of Colorado, because hitting in Colorado, some people think is like a cheat code, which
Yeah, it's a different animal.
exactly. And but he's lived up to the expectations I think so far in St. Louis. I mean, he's still one of the best. He's still up there for Gold Glove, all that. He can still get that this year, and there's no doubt that he's one of the best defensive third basemen in the league.
It's really odd though, because like the Cardinals stuff never really pops unless you're Yachty anyway. So it'll be interesting to see if Arenado cards get hot. Because frankly, do you want to buy some Paul Goldschmidt right now?
I like Goldie, but I've just never like wanted to collect him. I would collect Arenado. Like, I think
But there's nothing about Goldie that excites you, right? Like you're not excited about Paul Goldschmidt. He's not an exciting player, which means he's not going to attain collector value.
no, and I think with this last like year or two in the hobby, like being like really hot, I think they probably maybe peaked. Imagine Arenado's rookie year where he hit 40 home runs.
Hmm.
I mean, unbelievable. In his first and second year. Can you imagine if he did that today? I mean, people will be looking at him like, oh my God, he's like, up there with Soto and all those guys with just like the hype. Where like,
You know what's really odd is, I was in the baseball card business, had a shop during that rookie season when he kind of went off. People still weren't asking for him, and I think it's because he played where he played. Man, people didn't care.
that's
It's
definitely
so
that's definitely it. But do you think that because Tatis plays in San Diego, not a big market?
right,
Um,
right.
the same goes with Soto, not a big market in Washington. But I think it's definitely the hobby being so popular in
Uh
the
huh.
last few years, and I think that trend's here to stay. I don't. I think
Yeah, I do too. It's really reactive though too. Like I mean, it's one game can change everything.
Oh, of course. Well, we saw Tatis when he got hurt. People were trying to sell his
Hmm.
stuff off like crazy for cheap, and then all of a sudden, he comes back 2 weeks later. He hits like four home runs against the Dodgers, or three, I don't remember, but I mean, he goes off against them, and yeah, man, the
It
rest
is
is
one thing that concerns me in the hobby that I think about from time to time is who is the end user, and I think about that in any kind of product or production. But so the flippers buy Tatis cheap, and when he goes off, they sell him high. And when he gets hurt, the flippers freak out and they sell him and try to get their capital back to buy the next guy, right?
yeah.
Who is the end user who ends up with the card?
I
Like
mean,
I'm a Mantle end user, right? Like most of my Mantles aren't for sale. But like these new prospects, like who is the guy that's holding the bag?
well, I don't think they're all flippers. That's why I think there
Mm-hmm.
are true collectors. Of course, there are fans of who do you. It's like I asked you earlier, who do you PC? And definitely, people still have those guys, and Tatis is one of those guys. You think about it as like a little kid collecting Pokemon cards. Like, it's the same thing. You think about it with players. Like, I PC'd Vince Carter. I love, it's like, so you have those guys, whether if they're kids or, older guys that do it. Those guys have money. Maybe those kids' parents have money, so they're going to go out and do that. I still think you're going to get those kind of players, especially when they're at the top.
It's just so hard too, though, because like anytime you involve finances and collectibles, which I mean that's a big part of this, it costs money to buy them, and you can sell them for money.
Yeah.
IPC Mantle, but there's a number. There's a number to take them all. I don't want to sell them,
Yeah.
and if I was in a position to sell them, I would. They have high liquidity, but there is a number to buy them all from me because part of the fun of collecting too is the journey, right?
Of
Part of the
course.
fun is not even owning the card; it's finding the cards. Just like I used to be a set builder. I did a complete run of 51 Bowman to 79 tops with every set of tops, Bowman, and Fleer in between.
Wow.
I built every set, including the 52 tops, which was a nightmare. And I did this many years ago when it wasn't even as expensive as it is now. Now it would cost you a couple 100,000. Back then I could build a 52 tops for about 40,000.
Okay.
Um, but the fun of building a set was finding the cards. It wasn't completing it and looking at it in a binder.
Now it's just so different, right? Now that everyone's on
Yeah.
eBay,
Hmm.
7, 8 years ago on eBay, you could still find this stuff, for pretty cheap price. Definitely
Yeah.
didn't have that many people bidding on all the stuff that you do now, right?
Well, imagine also building a set 16 years ago
Yeah.
when there was no eBay, basically.
Yeah, eBay was, very small, not a lot of people putting a
Hmm.
lot of stuff on there.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, definitely. And there was no offer up. It's like you had to go to the card shows. You had to go
Yeah.
to swap
You went to a
meets.
shop or a card show.
Yeah,
I mean, my
card
first
shop.
card shop, which has been many, many moons ago, I had every year of tops in 5,000 count boxes in order, and the set builders would come in with their little paper lists, right? Because there was no smartphones yet.
Yeah,
And they would sit down at a table with 62 tops, 5,000 count box, and just go through and pull the numbers they needed. And that's how they built their sets.
exactly. And so now that is magnified so much. It's just I that's one reason why I think it's here to stay for a lot. People are looking to still collect sets, maybe newer sets and all that. So I think you'll definitely have those people, and I think 5, 10 years, you have obviously Tops is their IPO is gonna go soon, so there's definitely a lot of moves being made in the card market that I think,
Hmm.
especially that you have older cards like if you have a Mantle, if you have any year of those Tops, even in basketball, football, or baseball, like I think that stuff's gonna be money,
Oh yeah,
because they stopped making
I'd
it.
love to see. I'd love to see Panini go public instead, though, just because they're a money making machine. I think they make significantly more than Tops.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, they definitely have the license for basketball and
Hmm.
football, who are the two most right now. I mean, Topps screwed up there by losing those. But then
Yeah,
again, it's like how do you predict that the card market's going to get the way it is after
yeah. Nobody
losing?
knows.
I mean, when did Panini get the rights for basketball? That was like 2012, 11, right?
Thinking 2012.
Yeah, 2012. And then when did they get the rights for football? That was like 14, 15.
No, it was before.
Because I saw
13,
Top.
2013.
Did they both have the rights? Because I saw Top still making stuff.
There
They
was a duel for a while because
okay
yeah, Topps was making stuff and so was Panini.
for
But
football.
Panini jumped in the game around 13, I believe. I don't think
Yeah,
they did. They might have done. Did they do 12? No, they didn't do 12. They did 13.
yeah, and then so like obviously with the licensing stuff, that makes a big difference in hobby value, right? Like
Yeah,
not having the name of the jersey on the player, still makes a big difference. So,
for sure. And the team logo. I mean, that's the big thing.
yeah, exactly. But
But we'll see what happens. I mean, Panini's never letting that contract go.
no
So
way. And top, I mean, Tops. We'll see what they do in the next few years, especially with them going public. Let's talk some other baseball news, man. Otani's been hot. Hit a 2-run bomb last night. Um, he's just been the player that we've been hoping he would round into. And the same with his teammate Trout, Mike Trout, who has been. It's just Mike Trout's just not so marketable, but he's still the player that you want to own of this last 10
for
years.
sure,
There's
for
no player
sure.
that you would rather own than Mike Trout right now. He's
And I
hitting
just wish that they could make a run, especially. I mean, like I've been watching some Pujols at bats, and they don't look great. But
no.
man, like I would love for them to get a ring, get Pujols a ring there, get Trout a ring, get Otani a ring. But I don't know, man. They're both so good, but it's just not enough.
Trout right now is hitting four. He's in 410. He has 7 homers, 16 RBIs. The guy is lighting it up, and I just don't know like where the Angels are going to go. Obviously, it's still really early in the season. Angels still can make some moves with some teams trying to dump some contracts halfway through, but well,
Don't you find it odd though that like we discount early season greatness, but we hone in on early season failures? So it's like, oh
yeah,
my God, Lindor looks like trash, but it's a month in. Oh my God, what do we do? But then it's like Trout looks like the next Ted Williams, but it's only been a month. Like we discount the greatness, but then we focus in on the bad. It's really odd.
yeah, and I think that just kind of goes from whether you're looking for headlines or whatnot. I'm amazed by what Trout's doing, and I love every
Hmm.
moment of it. Lindor, yeah, I think definitely the Mets need to worry about that because I think it's a real thing. Being a Mets fan, I think it's a real thing. Like his body language at the plate, all this kind of stuff. I mean, I don't know what's going to happen. I was not one for that contract when they gave it to him. So,
It
I
seems like
mean,
they need to call Tony Robbins in and get him in,
yeah,
give him a little pep talk.
yeah. Bring in a whole. the whole networking, get that whole live event going there. 3 days.
3 days nonstop. Do you think Trout could be a player that hits 400 for a season? I mean, it hasn't been done in a long time.
Uh, it's
It's really hard.
it's so hard, man. I
Hmm.
like to even hit over 350 is ridiculously hard.
Yeah.
But I think if any player could do it, yeah, it would definitely be Mike Trout. I think because he used to have trouble against, I think it was like lefties throwing him inside, and now he's like hitting that this year. That's why he's hitting over
Hmm.
400. It's so crazy, man. I was listening to Buster Olney talk on the Baseball Tonight podcast, and they were just giving the numbers out for Trout. He's literally hitting every side of the plate. It doesn't matter who's pitching against him.
That's
And
strong.
that just shows the greatness of Mike Trout, though. I mean, they'll literally be able to do that. His defense is still the best. I mean, the guy's always up there with WAR, and I love judging players on WAR. I think that's just a big thing. Uh, I think it's Mike Trout, and I think Mookie Betts is two in the league. And then another surprising name right now. This is just a month into the season, but Trey Turner on the Washington Nationals.
Hmm.
I have a guy who's a big Nationals fan, uh, and he tells me all the time. He's like, "See, you guys gave Lindor all that money." He's like, "I'm so glad we have Trey Turner." He tells me this every day. But Trey Turner, man, been not the most consistent. I mean, he's had some down years, but I would definitely take Trey Turner, who has shown improvements over Lindor, who has not shown improvements in consistency. His numbers have been down. And that the numbers have shown too with Lindor, he does not put the barrel on the ball as much as he has been doing. Those numbers have actually declined since 2016. So,
What I think is funny is I would rather invest in Trey Turner right now than Trout.
yeah, because his cards are down. I mean, you could buy them. I don't have the cards and the numbers in front of me, but
But
I
here's
think,
what it goes back to, though. It goes back to what you and I talk about a lot. What does Trout have to do for his cards that are already so bloated to double?
yeah, that's a great point. I mean,
I mean,
like,
a $500 autograph of Trout, who's in every product. What the heck would he have to do for it to be $1,000 card? Like, I don't think he could do it, man. He could hit the Triple Crown, and I don't think they go to 1,000.
yeah, I agree with you. Like a Trey Turner, you could buy his Bowman rookie right now for $2. Like his refract, let's see what his
Well, let's
PSA.
really think about that, though. What's he have to do for that to go to $4? Three good games.
Yeah, MVP conversation. But he's hitting really well
Yeah,
right
he's
now.
hitting now. But that's what I'm saying. It's like some of these guys are so cheap. Would I rather throw $500 at him? And let's just use that card you
Yeah,
picked, $2 rookie, right?
yeah,
So for 500, I could buy 250 of those in theory, correct?
yeah. And those are just raw. And you look at right now
Sure.
his PSA 10. Some of them are selling $68, 140. His Gem Mint refractor, a card, his 2016 Tops Mini out of 1,000 selling for 99. So it's like you're putting them up with all those numbers. Yeah, of course you would want to buy five of those at five, for $500 and sit on them more than
If my goal is to double my money, which again, when I buy, that's my goal.
of course.
If my buy is to double my money, I would say he's a more investable player than Mike Trout. I think the time to buy Trout was when you could literally buy PSA 10 updates for $600.
Yeah, and now those are
Wasn't
what,
that long ago.
4 or 5,000. All right,
Uh
those
huh.
are stuff going for. Yeah,
It's not even been 2 years, man. 2 years ago, you could buy him for 600, 700.
no, it's it's crazy. I mean, I will those go up more? It's like it's hard to say. It's hard to say.
I think
But
they are extremely overpriced.
but then I don't think they're overpriced. I mean, I think
Can I
Trout.
tell you why, though?
Why?
Because it was a retail exclusive product.
Uh,
So that means every Walmart, every
yeah.
Meijer, every Target got bloated amounts. I know a person, individual in my city, who has 1,257 of that card raw.
Wow. Does he want to sell any of those? For
No, no, he's an oil millionaire and doesn't need the money, so it means nothing to him. He also won't grade any of them. He doesn't care about grading. He just collects. My point though is, if one guy can have 1,250 of something, man, it's just not a rare card.
Yeah,
Do you know how many cards Topps makes a year? Like, let's
ton.
really quantify this. Yeah, like
I
that's not
mean,
a rare card, man.
out of,
Five
out,
Gs.
out of the Topps Chrome set from this year, the Topps Chrome, the most popular rookie card in there was the Gavin Lux. Like I
Uh huh.
saw so many of those, and I
Yeah.
have like five of them. Like wow, so that definitely makes a lot of
I
sense with that
mean,
Trout card.
they legit print millions of them.
Right.
Millions. Like $5,000. And again, let's go back to this, and this is important too. It's a modern card that was sold in blasters, so the packs were protected well,
Yeah.
and it's white bordered to where it's not going to have chipping or any kind of like flaking off of the sides. Usually, it's a white bordered card. It's more rare to find a PSA 7 of that card than it is to find a PSA 10. That's an important thing.
Right. Yeah. It makes a lot of sense, man. And with with Trout, I mean, I still would rather own his stuff long term over
Yeah. Well, even
like
as a collector, I'd rather have it on my wall, right? Like it's a dope card to have. But who is the, again, it goes back to the end user conversation. I don't mind buying that card at a G. That makes sense to me. Who the hell's paying 5K for that card, man? And what is your goal there? What does
right.
he have to do for that to become 10 on a
Win
modern
a
high population card?
win a World Series. Yeah. I mean, well, the thing is like that you look at Trout is like, is he the best baseball player ever? That's why you know, I mean, you may not say it, but the numbers are there. And this guy's had a decade now of just consistently being the best player. And I know a lot of people knock him for not being in the playoffs as much, but you, as I well know, it's just impossible to literally be the best player and you could still make the playoffs. Like you have to have a great team around you.
I think what's going to happen is he's going to be the best modern day baseball player of all time that potentially never wins a World Series. And it's not going to change anything as far as Hall of Fame. It's not going to change anything on a lot of levels, but a ring's still a ring, man.
Yeah.
And again, greatness should elevate greatness. And if he's the leader that he seems to be, then he should elevate the rest of the team and they should put pieces in place. Look at their payroll, man.
Yeah, but that's just bad management. It's not his fault. I
Then
mean,
fire them
they
all and
have,
start over.
yeah. Well, I mean, the thing is, you're still stuck with the contracts, and Trout, still is not getting any younger. Trout's
Yeah.
turning 30. He is 30, and
Well, that Pujols contract was a nightmare anyway. That was a terrible mistake, and I'm so glad the Cardinals didn't fall into that trap.
I think he still would have actually performed better on the Cardinals.
Yeah,
You know,
we just couldn't have afforded them. I mean, it would have handicapped us for years as far as what we could do.
I think you guys offered him less money. I think you guys offered him about
Uh huh.
212 or something like that, if I
Yep.
remember correctly.
Which was insane. That's also insane.
But I think that was the right contract for him. I think it was like 8 years, 200. The 10 years at 300 was not good at all.
I mean, it just puts them in a position where they can't make a lot of moves. But at the end of the day, I agree. Trout is the greatest modern day baseball player. It's hard to argue against numbers. I do think winning means something, though.
Of
It
course,
doesn't
yeah.
mean as much. It doesn't mean as much in baseball as it does in football.
No.
And to
And,
transition into that, if Herbert doesn't win this year, I don't care if Herbert puts up 300 yards a game and one interception or less a game. He has to have some winning games. Like he's got to have a winning record for it to matter, like it did last year.
right. What, before we transition out of baseball, what are you excited in hobby like right now that's coming out in baseball? Like,
Prism Baseball's getting ready to drop. It's an unlicensed Panini product, but it's
yeah.
Prism, so it matters.
Does it?
Also, it does. It does. It sells pretty good. The color, the numbered out of 10 golds do really well. Select Baseball's coming.
Yeah.
And I will tell you that select basketball and select football are insane. So there's going to be bleed over. Select baseball is one of the best looking products that comes out every year. When that drops, it's going to be a fraction of the price of football and basketball because of the licensing.
Yeah.
But the big stuff still sells well, and it's going to be a really hot product. And it's not going to be nearly as expensive.
Yeah. And I guess the thing that messes it up for me is just the licensing. I just don't
Yeah.
like buying it when I don't see the name on the jersey, the team. But
But it gets interesting because I mean there are guys also who are like, but I can get a Griffey auto for 150 bucks instead of 550.
yeah,
And if the card's dope and it's something that looks cool and you collect, like it's
yep,
sometimes worth taking the value play too.
100%. Yeah, that's a great play. And let's
One thing about this too, like if that was a licensed product, they would be 1,500 a box, and instead they're going to be less than 500. So it's like from a breaking standpoint, you're going to be able to get in breaks of that stuff where there's multiple boxes for cheap buy-ins, as opposed to one box and you're paying $100 a team.
true. That that's a great point, and especially if you're just looking at it from a collecting standpoint, that's definitely you much rather collect that than even even the Topps Chrome. How much were those going
Mm-hmm.
for? Like I guess you could buy them retail for 20 bucks, but
The megas sell, I think, at Target and Walmart's for like 30 or 35, and then we sell them for 65 at the retail level.
that's not too bad for what
Yeah, I mean,
expensive basketball and
that's
football go
licensed.
for. Yeah,
Oh, yeah, I mean, there's not a mega box in basketball or football that's not 100 plus, even if it's the worst product.
right. Yeah, unless it's like the Bowman draft, right? Those things go for like 500-600.
100%.
Yeah. Let's talk some basketball, man. We got
Yeah.
some big news. LeBron's come back. Lakers lost 3 straight until last night. Big win for the Lakers last night, especially
Hmm.
beating a team that they might play in the playoffs.
Yeah.
And man, it's like so. AD had a big block. That's a great sign for AD, who has missed almost all of the season.
Yeah.
I mean, you talked about it earlier, man. The guy is moving like he was last year. That's a
He
great.
covered so much ground on that block. Like, I was watching it on TV live, and I was just like, what, how? Like, he was legit at the free throw line. The
Right.
guy gets the ball, posts up from the pretty deep three in the corner, and he covered all that ground and was able to get his hand on that ball clean and still control his body and not land on him and create the foul and give them a three shot. Like, it was unbelievable.
Yeah, and with that happening, I think this is a game that the Lakers not only, of course, they needed to win because they're tied right now with two other teams, with Dallas and Portland, and that fifth spot, sixth spot, and not only did they need that, I think this is a momentum changer. You know,
Yeah.
we heard LeBron come out yesterday or 2 days ago saying he's not the same player. Don't ever expect to see him as that player. He's always going to be. It's like, well, I don't understand what that kind of meant. It's like LeBron. Yeah, don't. You've been so great for so long, and you've defied all these odds. Your game is going to decline a little bit. Yeah, that's what happens when your body declines a little bit. Guy's been a machine. He's been awesome, and I still will take him every year, number one overall on my team. If you just draft a player, he's always going to be the guy I want on my team. But
Yeah. I mean, me personally, I select someone different. You know that, though. It was kind of odd because I saw some things last night that made me feel like 100% the Lakers will not win a championship this year. And what I saw was there was some fourth quarter mistakes that didn't make sense. There was a couple really bad passes. They seemed frenzied and hurried a lot. And then, man, Pope went under and had this terrible shot against Joker and then got the ball back and did this like reverse backwards layup that somehow went in. Like, I don't know, like without LeBron on the floor, like he needs to be running the offense, and I just feel like when he's back, maybe it'll be a different story. But I think they looked sloppy last night, even with the win. Um, if AD doesn't get there, like obviously he did, but if he doesn't, like, they're getting played pretty close by a team they're going to see again.
here's the thing about like KCP, and I never thought he would work on that Lakers team last year. He literally, I could not believe the player that he was in the playoffs. So he played up to expectations. I think this team is just playing into form, man. Like I said, LeBron hasn't played with AD all year. AD has not been there. LeBron's been out for what, almost 3 months now, is it? So he took almost all that time off. I think they're just getting the rust out, man. Like,
I hope so. I mean, for the hobby, I'd love to see them go on and just wreck everybody. But some of the mistakes I saw last night, late game, are mistakes that in the playoffs I think will cost you the games.
yeah, and it's just I like LeBron every year, man. When it gets into the playoffs, that guy, he just knows what to do. He's like Tom Brady. Like, when Tom Brady gives them the prep talk right before the Super Bowl with Tampa Bay, this is exactly what LeBron does, man. It's the same thing. He is going to, every game before it starts, like whether if they're down in the series 2-1, he's like, guys, it's okay. We got this. We're going to go out there and win tonight. And he knows exactly what to do. And Frank Vogel, who is, I think, a very well proven coach now, look what he did with that team all year with with defense and everything like that. I think they still have the best team in the West. I think the team that they're going to have to look out for actually the most will be maybe the Clippers. And I wouldn't have said that last week, but
Yeah.
with the way the Clippers have been playing, and I think Kawhi is kind of thinking the same thing as LeBron. Just okay, when the playoffs come, it's time to turn it on. And it's going to be an interesting playoff run, man. I'm not worried about the Lakers. I think if I'm worried more about any team, it's Brooklyn. I know that, like I said, man, that team's just been inconsistent all year. Like they have not played together all season. Like we don't know when Harden's coming back. We don't know if Durant
Yeah.
can stay healthy. We don't know what's going on in Kyrie's mind. There's so much question marks, man.
He may not show up for the game at all.
Yeah,
Uh,
exactly.
Honestly, I think the Nuggets are still scary, although I think it's almost all on the back right now of Joker, which is rough. I mean, they're beating the heck out of him. He's putting up great numbers, but he's basically the entire offense. Um,
Yeah, the ball moves through him. The ball
yeah,
ultimately, decides. So, and I think that's going to make them win a series in the playoffs, depending on who they play. If they play the Lakers, I don't think they'll beat the Lakers, but you know,
um,
it's going to be interesting.
I still like the Suns. I really do. I think the Suns are still they're a gamer. I think the Jazz is a gamer, but the Suns to me could click and get there. As again, it's a CP3 situation, but
Yeah,
we'll see.
I
I like
mean,
them.
man, you look back at CP3's career, and I mean, what comes in the league '05? He's in the playoffs almost every year. The
Hmm.
guy has literally been in the playoffs almost every season. He did it with the Hornets a few times there, the Clippers, but he's just choked so much,
Yeah,
man. He, what they had the 3-1 lead to Houston. He comes in, he chokes, it does all that. It's like I don't put all the blame on him. I mean, Blake Griffin too. That whole team just imploded against Houston that year. Josh Smith. I mean, man, it's like Dwight Howard. I don't know if you ever remember that 2015 series, but it was a really bad time for Chris Paul, and
yeah,
I hope that he could do it with this team. I like this team. The Suns is really fun. Devin Booker. Um,
yeah.
I think that guy is just scratching the surface of who he's going to be. But maybe Chris Paul
I think
can make it.
he's highly investable.
Oh yeah, but I mean his
I
stuff is
think,
high.
but that's the thing. Again, the time to buy it was like 3 years ago. You
Yeah,
know,
I'd much rather go after Jaw or Donovan Mitchell, whose stuff we talked about last week is really undervalued for basketball. Yeah.
yeah. I really like Mitchell as a long-term play for sure. Um, because I also think that team's going to be relevant. I'm
Yeah.
worried that the Grizzlies may not be a super relevant team. They're just going to have. It's
They,
almost like an Angels scenario. He's a great player on a subpar team.
yeah, I mean he's definitely like he hasn't looked the same since the injury earlier this year. The team is good. They're scrappy, but outside of Jaw, it's like, are they going to make a deep run? No, I just don't think they're going to make a deep run. But I think it's good to get playoffs reps. I like it
Yeah.
when a team like this gets playoff reps because they're still a year or two away from actually like they need another player. They need something
Hmm.
else on that team, especially for Jaw to sign a contract there.
Yeah.
Like if
I
he
heard
wants.
I heard a weird rumor about Lonzo wanting to go there. Maybe.
I wouldn't be surprised. Lonzo, I don't think he's going to be back with the Pelicans next year. No way.
No. I don't either. But if he went there, that's kind of an interesting one too. Like a Lonzo Jaw scenario, like that could be interesting.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if Lonzo's ever still met his right situation. I think we know the Pelicans, and I think it's the coaching that's just been bad with Van Gundy. But that team is just not. It's been so underperforming. And
Yeah, but Zach, where do you think he goes though? I mean,
Zach
that's the thing.
Blanchard.
Where does he go?
For those of you listening, Zach Blanchard commented in the YouTube live saying Jaw's not going to be on Memphis long term. I mean, there are so many teams that will go after him. I mean, it'd be like Damian Lillard saying, "I want out." So many teams will go after Jaw instantaneously.
If you could put him anywhere right now to flourish, where would you stick him?
To flourish, oh man, if he stays in the West, I would want him to team up with somebody that is a ball distributor. It's just be hard to say like on another like young team. I would either pick Sacramento. I would maybe like want to see him, or maybe a player from Sacramento go there. De'Aaron Fox playing with that kind of player.
So the Suns, when they win the championship this year, CP3 retires, and then Ja goes to the Suns. Well, you heard it here first. You heard it here first.
Well, CP3 is not going to retire. He'll leave $80 million on the table. He's not doing that. And well, I think what's going to happen is I think CP3 is probably going to get an extension again. Maybe like another.
Especially after he wins with a ring, especially. He's going to get a great contract with a ring, buddy.
Zach Blanchard, please you need to talk to Ken. I think he's had a little too much steak today.
I'm telling you right now, that team, if they click and CP3 plays to form, I don't think there's a team in the league that can beat them based on health. Because again, all of these teams that you think that are really going to be strong, they're all been injury cases all year, man.
I get you, man. I hear what you're saying, but I can't see them. They don't have the manpower to team up, or they don't have someone to guard LeBron. They don't have Aiden's not going to guard AD. Just not.
So you can double team him. That's easy enough. You're not going to need to guard LeBron because LeBron's going to have a hangnail and not play.
Yeah. Okay. Well, like I said, man, you're on your little hype train there, and I just don't see it at all.
I've just watched every game they've played, and I've seen how consistently good they are. I mean, they've handled even the Jazz.
Yeah, they handled the Jazz, but like I said, man, 7-game series last year when the Jazz played the Nuggets, it came down to a great Game 7 between two. I just think Donovan Mitchell could actually outperform them in a series still. We haven't seen Booker in the playoffs, and I mean, when the playoffs comes a different animal. I mean, we've seen that with Harden and many other players. They turn into something different. Sorry, man, my doodle is over here. He wants to be on the podcast. But yeah, man, let's transition from some basketball. Let's go to some football football. We got big news last week with Aaron Rodgers dropping the atomic nuclear bomb. With all that, man. Yesterday comes out and saying the final straw was when they released his wide receiver a day after him praising him, saying that just put the nail in the coffin pretty much. And, man, Rodgers, I think a lot of players, especially a lot of like just respected analysts, Bradshaw came out and criticized Rodgers. There's just so much going on with, I don't know what's actually going on inside Rodgers' head. And if I'm a team that's going to trade for him, like, what are you really going to give up for him? Like,
do you think he actually starts this coming season in a Packers uniform?
I mean, obviously the Packers aren't ruling that out. So yes, I can see that. Whether.
Do you think he retires if they don't let him go?
No way. He's not going to leave $100 million on the table. Like, and he still. I mean, if the one thing that Rodgers throughout all this has showed me is that he does not care about competing. He just doesn't. That's the one thing that he showed me. Like, I just think that Rodgers overall in this sort of game has now been, just it's like a tit for tat. He's really hurt his trade value, as Zach said. He's lost all trade value with his comments lately. Like some people have even said, trade Russell Wilson straight up for Aaron Rodgers. If I'm Seattle, I'm like, why am I doing that?
You would never do that, and except that if Russell really wants out too.
Well, Russell has made it clear that he kind of does want out. But
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So like, it's like,
if
do
I'm
you get a
Russell,
guy
if I'm Russell Wilson, I would say, heck yeah, sign me up. I would do it because
Wilson to the Packers would be interesting.
he instantly gets a better offense. He,
Yeah,
I mean, maybe he doesn't have the Metcalf, but Devontae Adams is, could be might be a step down, but is a very good receiver, and plus he just gets a better offensive line.
what I'd like to know is, do they feel like Love's ready to go?
I think Lafleur. Believe me, I think Lafleur has been talking to them for sure. There's no doubt in my mind. Like I think Lafleur has been talking to management, saying like, all right, let's see what we. Because I really think it's highly likely that maybe he goes to Denver, or whether if he goes there or the Raiders is going to be the biggest question, I guess. I do think
If
he
he
will be
goes to the
traded.
Raiders, Derek Carr stuff becomes literally garbage fire, which it should be anyway.
Oh, I was gonna say, come on, that was like 3 years ago. We knew that, but
Hmm.
I I just it's just would be so funny watching Gruden and Rodgers like going. I mean, will that team win 10 games? Yes, because Aaron Rodgers is still, he
Yeah,
was the MVP and all that. But um, Zach Blanchard asked, "Does Rodgers get cut on June 1st?" No way, Zach. He did.
no, because there's too much value. They can get at a minimum.
No.
They can get some crazy trade value down the road for him. Like
I
they're
mean,
going to get something.
we saw the Raiders on draft day. I don't know if you watched the whole draft, but I was watching with a bunch of guys, and a few of them were Raider fans, and we were making fun of them on their first round pick. They drafted Leatherwood, who was supposed to go in the second or third round, and they drafted him at 17 or 16, whatever pick they had. But man, it was so funny just because they're like everyone was just disappointed and making fun of the Raiders for this, and it's just like, what would the Raiders have to give up for Rodgers? I think they would literally trade 5 first round picks for Rodgers. I really
Yeah,
do. I do think that. And if I'm the
and
Packers,
throw in Derek Carr. Throw in Carr as a backup. Here you go.
no,
You can have him
I,
too.
I don't think they would take Carr back because of the contract. But I think they will ask for this year's first round pick for sure. Like, but no,
Here's the other question I would have: what NFL teams, especially post this draft that was so QB heavy, actually need him?
like
That gets interesting.
well,
Who needs that guy?
it's Denver or the Raiders. I mean,
Yeah,
there's really like a team like I would have said Chicago before last week, but they just got their guy
yeah,
Justin Fields. Like I'm not trading for
they're
him.
good. No, they're
It
good to go.
it needs to be a team that's ready to go win now that maybe has a subpar quarterback. Maybe Carolina. I mean, but the other thing is too is like the Packers aren't going to trade him within the NFC. That's the other thing
Right.
too. So
I do like the Broncos, though. I think the Broncos would be an interesting play. I mean,
yeah, they're
at
loaded.
100%, you've destroyed Drew Lock anyway. Lock is worthless now. I mean, he
Zach,
had so much hype.
Zach Blanchard says he's 37. Yeah, he'll be 38 actually at the start of the season. But the thing is, with Tennessee would be interesting, but they gave Tannehill a big contract. But with him being 38, he's still. I mean, he won the MVP. A team will mortgage the future if they think they can win now with Aaron Rodgers. They think that. I mean, a quarterback like this, we saw Denver do it too with Peyton Manning. They went out there, gave Peyton Manning a huge contract, especially with the neck injury, coming off that. And look what Peyton Manning did those first 2 seasons. He won the MVP. And I think Rodgers will come out and explode, especially with a team like Denver. I mean, no doubt.
When he grabbed a Super Bowl too. That was pretty devastating. Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, he
that
wasn't.
was a defense. It was a defense Super Bowl, but they still he still got to hoist the trophy.
Yeah,
Nobody's going to
yeah.
remember anything, but you got the other ring. They
No,
still gave him the ring.
yeah. I mean, of course, he was the starting quarterback, and I just that ring was not Peyton Manning's best ring. I mean, Peyton really never performed well in the Super Bowl, but still, he still won an MVP the 2 years prior to that Super Bowl, and was really good. I think he will be like a team like Denver or a team like the Raiders to give Rodgers what they want.
Yeah, I hope so. I mean, I'd
But
hate to see him just sit out, and I mean that would
but
crush his value even more.
Oh yeah, I mean, I think his value is already gone. I don't want anything Rodgers at this point. Not at all.
Which is interesting because like you can be kind of a crybaby in the NBA, but you can't be a crybaby in the NFL. Like
It's
it's
hard to.
weird.
Well, we saw it with Harden. So Harden, big crybaby at the beginning of the season. Nobody felt sorry for him, but I mean, he got his way. Houston looks it's a dumpster fire now.
Yeah.
That team looked like they got nothing in return for anything now, and but in
And
football,
barring injury, Harden could have got the MVP.
yeah.
Like barring, he was on the track.
Well, I mean, we saw Deshaun Watson try to do this, and obviously it backfired on him now. That guy might not
Yeah.
even play in the league next year, and
Yeah, we don't know what's going to happen there. But here's everything: Rodgers could just retire and go host Jeopardy for $100 million a year.
he's not going to do that, man. He's not going to leave the way he still blames Matt LaFleur for his shot at missing the Super Bowl, even though it was his fault. But
All he had to do was run. Hole was open.
yeah,
All he had to
exactly.
do was just
Could
move
have
your feet, buddy. Move
could
your
have
feet.
could have ran, got a few yards closer, and then probably went for it on fourth down, but didn't do that. And then
Yep.
he almost threw a terrible pick, which no one talks about either. Um, but yeah, man, I don't know. Rodgers isn't there. Let's talk some Jordan Love. Let's talk about
Yeah.
if he starts for the Packers. Obviously, you saw his card value go up once that news was announced.
That
I'm,
just shows you how reactive it is right now. One
yeah,
rumor, one rumor, bang,
yeah.
double in price overnight. Bang.
Sell all your Jordan Love stuff right now.
So my gut is yes, do that. And I've got a lot of people in my inbox this past week asking. I will tell you that if I had Jordan Love stuff right now, I would sell it for two reasons. One, we don't know that this is actually going to happen.
Yeah,
And if all his stuff that was 100 is now 200, let's just say, and you don't take the profit on him, and then Rodgers still starts and we don't see Love for another year with this quarterback heavy last 2 year draft, I just think Love could end up being kind of the guy you forget about for another 2 to 3 years, and those values aren't going to be there. Here's the other thing. If he does start, his stuff will pop more. That's
right.
real. But if he doesn't do well, you're going to see his stuff get murdered in price.
Of
So he
course.
also not only has to start, he also has to perform really well. And again, we're talking about the last 2 years. There's 8 to 9 quarterbacks that people are going to be watching and comparing everybody to. He is going to have to put up Burrow-ish numbers to attain huge value.
Yep. And I mean, well, I just think he has to perform well first to do that. Like, uh, who would you rather own right now? Would you rather own Burrow or would you rather own Love? It's an interesting question just because one's come off a really serious injury and the other one hasn't started yet.
What's my goal? Long-term profit or short-term profit?
Well, I mean, I think short term you're going Burrow, of course, but long term,
Hmm.
like I'll give you a 3 year window. It would still be Burrow, right? It has to be because
Yeah,
he has
it's still Burrow because here's the other thing: he's going to play.
yeah, and he has the offense too. Like they believe in him. With the
In all
Packers,
sincerity, in 3 years, we may not still see Love.
right?
We don't know that we're seeing Love in 3 years. People are spending on Love like we're going to watch him this year.
Yeah, another player. I mean, I love to talk about my Eagles whenever I get a chance. I was a little. I don't know how to feel about their draft pick. Devontae Smith. I mean, I think we could have got somebody more value there at that pick. I don't think we should have traded up and gave up the third pick, but it was just kind of a Howie Roseman. Of course, I think he should be fired every year, but one of those moves that he makes where I'm just like scratching my head. But I am excited though because that does show that they believe in Jalen Hurts. So
Yep. I think it definitely put the stamp on that that's the guy they're going to go with and ride with for at least now and see what happens for sure.
yeah,
I was really thinking they may do something weird and put Hurts in a position to have to fight for it.
me
Whereas
too.
now I think he's just QB1 now, right? Like he's the guy.
Yeah, and I would have liked them to see just draft Justin Fields and go with it. Justin Fields trade Hurts. Maybe he has some value. I just like Fields also all that much too. But I would rather own Hurts over Love. Like Hurts stuff is a little down. It's in that
But you
like
also got a guy that you know is going to play.
Yeah. No, that's what I'm saying though. His cards aren't really all too expensive. They're up there, but they're not like up there with the other guys. If Hurts comes out and has a few dominating games, his stuff is going to pop, and it definitely
Yeah,
can because he could definitely succeed because the division sucks, including the Eagles, and they if they go out and start 3-1 and Hurts is throwing 250 yards and averaging 80 rushing yards, that guy's value is going to pop.
yeah, I could see it. It's a tough situation. I mean, I still don't know that he's a winning quarterback. And again, in football, it doesn't matter as much, but I do think when it comes to second, third, fourth year, it does.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I start to feel like you've got to start putting up wins. That's why Herbert, I feel like he has to win this year. Even if he's 300 yards a game, point 0.5 interceptions, amazing stats, you've got to start putting up wins, man, because at the end of the day, they want to go after the winner. I mean, everyone's bandwagon on this stuff. They want to go after the winner. You know what I mean? So, I don't know, man. Like, I hope the Chargers do great. I don't know that they will.
I mean the Chargers, especially imagine if Aaron Rodgers goes that division. I mean, I can't imagine that the Chargers will win more than 6 or 7 games because you now go against the two reigning, MVP finishers, 1 and 2.
Yeah.
Yeah, in that, so it really will mess up the Chargers even more.
I honestly believe Aaron Rodgers is up for the Packers this year.
I love what the Chargers did, drafting the lineman, getting him. It wasn't Sewell. I forgot who. I know Sewell went to the Lions. I forget who they drafted, but they got the other top O lineman in the draft, and that just is gonna help Herbert. As we saw with Burrows, keep your guy healthy, and they did just that. They went out and they got some security, making sure he takes less hits, and I do think the Chargers can win 8, 9 games next year.
Yeah.
Maybe even 10 with the added game.
Yeah, I hope so. I mean, we need him to be good. There's a lot of people.
Yeah.
A lot of people.
Zach Blanchard, thank you. It's Slater. Yeah, they drafted Slater.
There's a lot of guys heavily invested in Herbert, and it would be great if he's great,
Yeah.
Because we are going to need to transition away from eventually Brady, Rodgers, Russell Wilson, these old timer quarterbacks, that have been around for a bit. As they go away, there's got to be new guard.
It's funny. I don't see a lot of Russell Wilson cards. Why is that? I never see them
he's
in
got
breaks.
stuff. I mean, he's got stuff, but yeah.
I never see them in breaks, like ever. Do you see them a lot in breaks?
No.
Why is that?
No. I don't know. I honestly don't know. I haven't seen a lot of his stuff. He's got a lot of good rookie autograph stuff and like early Topps products.
Yeah.
I wonder if he has like I don't think he's Topps exclusive or anything weird. I don't know.
Yeah, would that be up to him?
No, I mean if he signed a contract, it's up to him. But
yeah, like
I don't know.
Russell Wilson, his 2012 Topps. It's a PSA 9 selling for around a few $100. It's not really that high.
Yeah.
I mean, is he someone that you would go after long term?
Me, no. But because what's weird with him is like I could almost see him moving into like he's more of a celebrity than he is an NFL player to me. Like I see him being more of like a commercial and movie guy down the road than being a player in the NFL. I don't know. Like he's just got a persona, but he doesn't really command a lot of hobby respect.
Yeah, I see his 2012 Topps Chrome in an auction right now sell for about $743 with 8 hours, but it's really not that high, for someone of his caliber.
One also consider like that's what is that 9 years old, like, and that's and not even again. If I said, hey, today your goal is to go find one of those in person, good luck.
Yeah,
like that card's not even out there; it's not available, right?
No way. Yeah, he's just one of those players you think about. Speaking of cards, man, tell us what's coming out. What's coming out this week? Tell us what happened with UFC last week.
No, UFC came out and it was absolutely fire. Everything was unbelievable. All the boxes I've seen have been pretty nice. The boxes we had really, really went well. Like our first autograph was a George St. Pierre Mojo out of 25. We hit a Chuck Liddell and a Forrest Griffin in the next box. Like every single box we did was really, really cool. The prices the stuff's selling for is really high. I have heard a rumor, we have not been offered to buy it yet, which concerns me, but I've heard a rumor that they are going to do Prism retail, that blasters are already starting to show up. I don't know if that will be nearly as hot because I don't believe there's autographs at a high rate. They may be one to a case.
Right.
Whereas the Prism's hobby, you get, two autographs a box. But that product's already up to almost 1,300 a box now for us to rebuy. We were selling them for 900 when they first came out. So, we probably will leave them alone at this price. But super cool product. I hope they do more. I know there's some more high-end UFC going to be coming out. Prism was the first dip into it. You're going to start seeing some like really expensive UFC cards coming out.
Like Select or something?
I could see them doing Select because it's a huge product. I could see them doing Optic. Like they could do some stuff like that. I actually think we'll see something along the lines of National Treasures or Flawless.
Oh, nice.
Because that could get real crazy. Like a Flawless briefcase UFC with like diamond cards and everything else. Like that might be silly. And it seems like they have access to these guys to be able to get on-card autos better than like the big stars in the major leagues.
Yeah.
So it's like the Flawless product makes sense to me because it would all be on-card autographs. So I don't know. We'll see. But I think if Prism's the benchmark, they hit their benchmark.
Man, obviously saw last week with how fast those breaks were filling.
Yep. And then, there's a lot of good stuff coming out this week. Tomorrow, Crown Royal Basketball. That's a super high-end product. People really like the Silhouette autograph rookie patch autos. There's the chances at Logo Man Auto Rookies 2021 basketball. Myself, today, I've got more Chronicles football. Actually, just got delivered. I just watched the FedEx guy put it on my porch through my camera system. So we're going to be doing some Chronicles breaks. And like I don't even know if I said it on when we were live or said it to you, but Monday through Thursday, my breaks are only $25. So guys are able to get into Chronicles football, which is the hottest football product we've seen in a long, long time. $25. Okay. I'd rather buy into that than buy into Select, personally.
Yeah, I mean, I saw, like I said, that Chronicles stuff, and that stuff is awesome. I mean, there are some you hit some monsters in there. Some really high.
Well, and there's so many teams that are relevant still from 2020 products.
That's right.
And it's just like for $25, if I hit any number of like 6 teams, I'm pretty happy.
Yeah, and exactly. Yeah, if you could get any of those top 6, 7 teams, and maybe even an outside team, and you get something in there, it's pretty sick.
Well, and also all 2020 football got a little better right now because of the Aaron Rodgers scenario. Because now, like, if I'm doing my allocation of who I think you should be selling as far as value, obviously at the top we've got Herbert, then Burrow. I'm taking Tua out of the top 3 now, putting Love there, then Hurts, and then Tua. So now we've got 5 guys as far as value. Like, that's who I would want to pull if I was, getting in a break. I would rather hit the Packers than realistically the Dolphins right now.
Got it. I'd rather hit the Eagles over the other 2, just because, like I said, with drafting that receiver, it shows that the Eagles they're going all in on their offense. And
I guess again, my perspective is if I hit a Love Auto 101 right now, it's worth more than if I hit a Hertz 101 auto.
That's true. Yeah, with all the news going
right
on
now
at the moment. Yeah,
today for sure. Yeah. Like if I'm trying to snap 25 into 2,500, give me the Love 101. It's just it's right now it's massive.
It's popping. Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. It's gonna be a lot of interesting. Let's move into our next segment. Let's go to what card is on your desk. What card you got on your desk this weekend?
It is a 2020 Mosaic Tom Brady Touchdown Masters 3D green version Prism. And in person, these are really insane because the football actually looks like it's popping out of the card when you look at it. Like when you kind of turn it, it's kind of hard to see on a camera.
Yeah.
But I really like any of the Buccaneers inserts of Brady, specifically any of like the harder to get prisms or anything that's just not base. Because realistically, how long is Brady going to be playing in the league?
It,
I mean, do we honestly think he's there another 5 years? Like, is that a real statement, or is he one more and done?
I give him one. I think this is his last year. I just do. But yeah, man, it's really interesting. I last week I think I talked to you about it. I was going to pick up some Tom Brady 2007 top chrome refractors, PSA 9s,
Hmm.
and I was going to buy them yesterday and the guy is like, "Oh, I got an offer for 400 on one of them." And I was like, "All right, well, I'm not going to buy it." you know. I wasn't going to give him $800 for two of them. It just made no sense for me. And plus, I was going to do the same thing. I was just going to flip them or keep
Yeah,
them long term because long term, keep those cards. When Brady announces his retirement, his stuff is going to pop. And
for sure.
if you have some cards numbered, if you have some of his, Patriot stuff, his younger years, I mean, man, you're gonna definitely make money on those.
Well, here's where it gets weird. Like, especially because they may add another piece to that chessboard over there in Tampa Bay, and
Right?
if they do, but what happens if he literally wins another one this year? Like, it's so ridiculous to even say it, but you can't even say that he's not the favorite to do it again.
Yeah. And you're right. His Buccaneer value cards, they will go up for sure, especially the
But it's like,
Buccaneers
does he
fans.
retire? Does he retire if he wins another one this year? My God, he might just be like, well, you know.
No, I mean, because now most of that team is under contract, and I mean, yeah,
Hmm.
you might have some more free agents next year, but Brady could just be like, oh, okay, I'll take a pay cut, 10 million.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it would make a whole lot of sense. I don't know, man. There's gonna be a lot of football's gonna be killer next year. I cannot wait.
Oh yeah.
So many teams, man. Even the Patriots, man. I think they're ready and set to bounce back to win 10 games.
Oh,
I
for sure,
I
Zach.
I think they're
That'll be awesome.
yeah. The Black Diamond rookie waiting for
Yeah, Zach came up on a bunch of Tom Brady rookies, and it's just he's in a bad position because with PSA right now, what do? You just got to hold him raw and wait for him to let you to send in.
oh man, he has. How'd you get those rookies, Zach? Lucky. Oh,
I don't remember how he got him. He told me, but I don't remember his story.
man, those are some sick cards to have. But yeah, man, definitely hold your Tom Brady stuff, even if it's 2 years. Like you're not gonna lose money on that long term, anyways. Uh,
Yeah.
Card on my desk for this week, man. Got my 2017 rookie De'Aaron Fox. I'm a big Fox guy. I like his stuff. I have his Prism. That's one card that's waiting at PSA. Hopefully that comes back a 9 or a 10.
Was he a UK guy? I don't remember.
He was
Where did Fox play?
he
UNC,
was
or was he a big team?
yeah, he was
I feel like he
drafted.
was a top three.
Um, let's see. I think Fox came out of. I'm not even too sure where he came out of.
I just feel like he came out of somewhere big. I don't know if I'm thinking right or not.
I wanted to say Kentucky, but I know I'm wrong there.
See, I was thinking it was Kentucky too, but maybe that's somebody else that's like Fox.
Yeah, I'm not 100% there. Of course, the thing I clicked on it says cornerback De'Aaron Fox. The wrong De'Aaron Fox there. Here he goes. Yeah, he was Kentucky. He did play for the Wildcats.
Okay,
Yeah, it
yeah.
was the Wildcats.
So basically, any top tiered Kentucky guy always, that's always going to be a good investment, it seems. They breed just crazy good NBA talent, you know.
Right. Zach Blanchard said his
I like him a
father-in-law.
lot.
Zach Blanchard's father-in-law used to have a card shop.
That's cool.
Nice. Okay. You need to open it right up near kin. Okay.
Yeah, that'd be helpful. That would be helpful. I love when people open shops in my city. It's helpful.
Oh man. Yeah, man. Do you have anything else to touch on, Ken? Let's go to our lifestyle talk.
I don't have anything else.
All right, man. Let's get to our lifestyle talk of the week, baby. Where our why would you or should you not listen to us because we hope to improve your lives by with our own sort of results that we sort of do with our habits as well.
Yeah, my mine for the week. I read a stat the other day that your average American does not have $500 in savings to overcome even something as difficult as a blown tire can become very detrimental for paycheck to paycheck people. If you are in this hobby and you are spending money and you do not have a savings or at least something liquid that you can turn into cash if you have a major catastrophe, I think that's a really bad idea. I think we all need to have at least somewhat of a safety net. The rule of thumb is 3 to 6 months living expense. That's a big hurdle for a lot of guys, especially if you have a normal person job.
Right.
But I think you gotta, even if you, and I hate this because I don't want to tell our customers ever to not spend, but if you have to forego buying cards or hitting Starbucks or eating out for 3 months to save up $500, I just think that safety net of if I blow a tire, that I'm not screwed is worth so much.
Well, it's so true though. I mean, you hear people all the time that say kind of just live the paycheck to paycheck or they can't afford to save. And a lot of that just goes into habits too, A lot of that just
Uh-huh.
comes down to whether if whether people could, you know, just save that or, instead of going to eat out or maybe spending money they don't have. That's the other part too. The spending money they don't have, that's a big thing. And yeah, man, it's just there's so much that goes into it.
Yeah, I mean, and that was one of the reasons we even went to doing $25 breaks. Honestly, we were filling breaks at more, but I wanted to give people the opportunity, one, to not have to spend as much money, have a better ROI. And, at the end of the day, our goal is you hit a big card, you go sell it, you come back, you bring the money back, and you can keep the train rolling and having fun, and it doesn't put you in a financial bind. I tell people all the time, like, hey, this is a really hot product, but don't put yourself in a bind jumping in this because you can miss. That's the one thing that it is a element of risk in getting into breaks.
Yeah,
I've
exactly.
100% myself torched 6K in a weekend and walked away with zero cards before. I've 100% done it. It sucks, but that's why I like what we do with the value breaks at just $25, man. Like you can get in a break every day, Monday through Thursday, one break a day for $100.
Yeah, and you can't go
You
wrong
know,
there.
yeah. But again, I would also say don't do that unless you already have your house in order. I don't want guys getting into breaks that don't have enough to cover a blown tire.
Yeah.
Like I want you to be in a good position, or please just we'll still be here 3 months from now. Put money away and come see us. You know what I mean? Like
What kind of advice do you have for people that are getting in the breaks?
as far
I
as
mean,
what to do with the cards, or
just in general. I mean, there's a lot of people that are starting break like they're being breakers. Like,
I think it's really tough if you're trying to jump into being a breaker. My honest assessment is if you don't have a very, very large amount of capital, you probably shouldn't do it. I have a lot of guys that I'm friends with in the rental home business, and they literally say buy 10 or buy zero.
yeah,
It's really hard to make a living being a breaker unless you're running high volume. But your biggest hurdle, even if you're already financially sound, is getting product.
right.
The distributors don't need you, and
Yeah,
retail is so hard to get. It's just if you're going to do this, even if you had $1 million in cash, which honestly, if you have $1 million in cash, you wouldn't want this life. Like, don't do this. Like, I would tell you, don't do this. This isn't good for anybody to work hundreds of hours at every month. It's just not a healthy thing to do. But if you're already rich, like why would you want it? But if you're trying to get rich, it's really hard to get rich as a breaker unless you can get allocation. And even then you're going to need about $400,000 to be a player. So if
yeah,
you've already got 400K, it's like, why would you do it, man? Like,
and that's like jumping this thing full time. I know, or I've seen people try to go into a part time. Try to get their stuff, go get some PSA 9 cards from like the card shop, and then try to flip them and being breakers that way. I mean,
yeah, I mean, you can absolutely do it. It's just the ROI is there if you can get allocation. The problem is you have to be so streamlined and well off and have a team of help. Like you've got to be willing to eat just dirt for a couple years, and not everybody can. I mean, as we just said, most people don't even have $500 extra, man. To say that you're going to lose 150K for 2 years straight, that's a big swallow for a lot of people.
Yeah.
You know, I've done it. I know what it's like to literally at the end of the year work my butt off and lost hundreds of thousands of dollars. Um, you know, it's cool that the hobby's hot right now, you know, and breakers are making money. Like I know a breaker right now who's legitimately making $4 million a month, profit, not sales, profit.
Wow.
Um, you know, we talk every day. The guy's just it's unbelievable. Like his spend per month is millions, is what he's spending on product.
Yeah, that makes sense. I was going to say he's making that much money. He's obviously spending a lot to get that kind of
Yeah.
for that capital.
But again, if he does that for a year and that cat's sitting on 40, 50 million liquid cash money after a year, who cares if he even does it year two?
You're right.
Like at what point do you have enough, you know?
Yeah.
I could retire tomorrow, but I do this for fun and I do it, you know, it is lucrative. Obviously we make money or I wouldn't do it. I have a whole staff of people I got to pay, but in the same breath, like if I quit cards tomorrow, like it's not going to change my life financially that much.
Right. Yeah. And I mean, but it's like you've built more of a following and an audience yourself from it. So I mean, like, there's definitely like all that too. It's like, you know, you don't do it for money, you do it for them. So I think that's
Well,
what
and
like, appeals to
I
everybody.
still have fun doing it too. Like when I rip Chronicles today, when like you hear me screaming and yelling when we hit something, like the other day, I literally was screaming and clapping and running around the room because we hit two Herberts in the same box. I am legitimately excited just as much when I hit something for somebody else than if I go do something dumb like pay 5K to get into a flawless break and I hit a card. Like I'm actually happier when somebody else hits something.
Yeah, and it's like your breaks are entertaining. So that's the other thing too. It's like, you know, you'll sometimes throw like a random pack in, or you'll sometimes like, you know, just describing the cards, but there's always something fun going on in the breaks. That's for sure.
Yeah, but going back to the original question, I mean, if you don't have $500 in savings and you have a 9 to 5 and your bills are such that you can't save money, at least like you say you can't save money, I would argue look at your spending. I don't believe you.
Yeah.
But in the same breath, then okay, you work 8 hours a day if you're a normal person. Those other 4 hours, don't go watch Netflix. Find a side hustle. I don't care what it is.
Yeah. You
It
can
could be
earn.
tutoring a kid in English or math. It could be going and delivering food for restaurants with Grubhub. Like I don't care what it is. Get your $5 in savings so that when you do blow that tire, your life doesn't fall apart.
You could, yeah, easily earn another $100 doing something nowadays. There's so much of that
Yep.
it's just hard not to. You could drive Uber, you could do all this other stuff. But yeah, my
What's
lifestyle,
yours?
mine is time management. Kind of piggybacking on yours from what you're saying. You know, you work 8 hours, but what are you doing with the rest of that time? Are you watching Netflix? Are you getting your priorities done? You are always busy. You have, you know, so little time to do certain things. Same with me. I have to block off whether my schedule is, yes, flexible, but all over the place because my training. I have school. I have so much, you know, just different work doing, whether also doing my podcast work as well, spending time with my girlfriend, going to see family, you know, all that kind of stuff that really matters to you. Some people just say they never have enough time for it. It's bogus in my opinion. Like you know, got to make, my mom lives an hour away from me. I got to make sure that I go see her a little bit. You know, our parents are
So
getting
how do you
older.
allocate that? How do you allocate that resource? Because that's something even myself,
A
you know, all
calendar.
these years and I struggle.
So a calendar, you got to put stuff in the calendar, and you got to make sure you do
Hmm.
it. There's some times where you just don't want to do it. Tough shit. Like
Yeah.
you need to do it because, you know, when you're tracking, it's also better for your memory because we think we could remember everything. That's the thing too. It's like, oh, I'm gonna do this today. I'm gonna do that today. It's like we think we do just remember everything, and then, you know, a week flies by. Oh my god, I totally forgot to do that. I totally forgot I wanted to do this, or to start
Hmm.
this new whatever hobby or something. But, you know, put stuff in your calendar is how to do it. So, you know, really focus on time management. If you need to do your taxes, if you need to go to the bank, it's just all this stuff that takes so little time that we don't do. Time
Yeah.
management is my talk of the week. Put stuff in your calendar. That's how I keep track of all my personal training sessions. It's how I do all this stuff. It's just everything.
I really struggle personally with the hierarchy of assigning time allocation to different projects and determining what is first and foremost. And again, like the hallmark version is family should be first.
Yeah.
But I will tell you in all sincerity, like I put my business ahead of everything, because there's an end goal in sight, right? Like on a long enough timeline, I want to put myself in a position to where family can be everything, and I don't, and business can be back burner. But right now, my gas pedal is pushed all the way to the floor. So I wake up, I start business. I go to bed, it's business. I do block out an hour a day generally to do stuff with the kid, and I feel guilty for it every day.
And I think a lot of people might in your situation too. Like, it's like, well, if I don't work this extra, I'm not going to get to be. But it's like just a reminder at the end of the day, it's like, that work isn't always everything. Because the thing is here too is you're never going to get the time back with your kid at age 3, age 4, age 5, age 6. And,
I know.
but there's also the caveat off of that down the line, you can't spend more time with them at age 27, 28, 29, 30.
Yeah.
Maybe when they're starting a family because all the sacrifice you did. You pick and choose your spots, like.
Well, I also look at, like, for me, I'm putting him in a position where his life is going to be concurrently improved by the decisions I make now.
Right. Yeah, exactly. There's that too.
Like we could play football all day, every day, but then when it comes time for school clothes, we may not be hitting the ones he wants. When it comes time for his first car is going to look real different.
Yeah.
Or let me work my 18 hours a day while you're little. You know what I mean? It's a tough balancing act, but I struggle with it pretty regular because I do work 7 days a week. I don't take days off. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, I think it's, not only time, it's about like experiences and stuff too, when it comes to family, like I said, my time management system is different from yours. I'm in school right now. I'm doing all this stuff. So it's like mine looks different, but people are like, there's no way I could get that done. I'm like, sometimes I just call it BS because I'm doing all this stuff, and like, I'm not trying to compare myself to other people, but like it's just, you can really get stuff done if you just manage your time better. And honestly, it doesn't take a whole lot. Like we sometimes make stuff, and I do this all the time, make stuff bigger than it seems.
For sure.
And when you could use time management to kind of solve that problem, it makes things a lot smaller. I mean, you're able to focus a lot more. Yeah, that's my lifestyle talk of the week. Do you have anything else, Ken, before we go here? No, we're low.
I think that's everything other than there's breaks on the site today for $25. There's one break up now, has just 10 spots left. As soon as that fills, we're going to Chronicles football, $25 a spot, and I think they're going to snap Phil.
Oh, yeah. Especially at that price.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, if I could buy into my own breaks, I would at $25 a spot. Like those are going to be so good value.
Yeah, okay, man, I agree. I look forward to seeing some of those go up, man, here pretty soon. When's that first
yes, sir.
fill going up?
It'll go up as soon as the one that's on there now fills. It has 10 spots. It's a optic and mosaic break. Once that fills, the next the next break goes up. But I don't ever like to put more than one up at a time.
Yeah, no, I don't blame you.
So yeah, I mean, if it fills in the next half hour, then Chronicles goes up. If it fills in 4 hours, which not ideal, but then that's when Chronicles goes up.
You hear that, Zach Blanchard? You need to fill all 10 of those spots. So Chronicles.
Yes, just go take 10, and then we're just bang, bang. There we go.
All right, you guys, thanks so much for tuning in and listening to today's show. We will see you guys all next Tuesday.
All right, man. Have a good one.
You too, brother. Thank you.